All right, so let's start with today's class. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, yesterday class, sir will sir tells us he discussed from some library how to use, but they can't be discussed for some time issues. So can you
Okay.
discuss for today?
Okay. So you want to basically right now what you have to do is you just have to learn uh, how to basically import libraries. Okay. So you don't need to go much in depth for what are the functions of library, because a library can have tons of functions and lot of things in it, which might not be possible for me to discuss everything. So if you can just understand how to import libraries, then looking at the document for the library, particular library, you can read all the functions and what are the uses of it. Okay, so I might give some a few examples for how to work with libraries. Okay, so he sir in yesterday's class, sir might have discussed about this thing, how to import libraries. Did he? uh,
No.
Hello.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes,
Can
Sakshi.
I ask something?
Yes, yes.
Sir, have you discussed week 3 GRPS?
Not till now. I have not discussed. It might have been discussed in some TA session in previous class. If
No,
not,
sir.
then
Till now, any TA session haven't any discuss
I mean
any
instructor
GRPS.
session.
No,
Any
sir.
instructor? No.
We join instructor session, but teacher doesn't join sometime. We student wait. Maybe there's a error or something.
Yeah, because instructor session was it was my you might have known, because instructor session will start from this week's Thursday. Okay, so all the instructor sessions were on a since there was a break for our paradox, so that's why instructor sessions were not happening. Okay,
Okay, so
so
much. Thank you so
from
much,
to
sir.
this week's Thursday, instructor sessions will resume. Okay, so if you have any doubt, we can obviously discuss that in GRPA. No need to worry about that. Okay, and rest. Yeah, okay. Let's start with today's class. Okay, so first, if you want me to discuss about libraries, then okay. First, let's start with importing libraries. Okay, so importing libraries is not much of a big thing. Okay, basically you must, if you want to work with some library, you should, the first thing you should know is what is the name of the library. Okay, and knowing the name, what you can do is so it will be better if I just showed you by writing the code. Wait a second. Okay, so yeah, so wait a second.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, in a OP exam,
Uh-huh.
which code editor is provided by Proctor for hit and trial code?
Hit and trial code, there will be, you will be I mean Python tutor will be available to you. Okay, you can run your code there, and you can actually view how your code is flowing. Okay, the code flow you can view there, and other few terminals will be given to you. There is a starboard terminal, and there is a pydoid terminal, I think. No, Starboard Notebook and Pydoid terminal there is. Wait a second. I will present uh, after discussing about this library. I'll show you our or you might have seen in your portal that in with every GRPA question you have these three things. The link for these three things available in the portal. If not, uh, mark it. Okay, I'll specify that in the portal. Okay, so what I was saying is, so so for working with a library, first thing we must know is the name of the library. Okay, so there is a very famous library in our Python, that is a math library. Okay, so there are ton of functions which we might not be able to perform with basic Python operators. Like, so what is the basic Python operators? Basic Python operators are plus, minus, division, multiplication, flow division, and there is mod, there is power, right? So these are some basic Python operators. But what if I tell you, how will you calculate cosine of something? How will you calculate sine of something? So it might be possible you can use pairs and combinations of different functions, different operators basically, to find sine and cosine. But it will be a lot more difficult, right? So we need something more than basic operators. So that's why there exists a math library, which is, its name is math. Okay, so there exists a math library which we can use to use a lot of mathematical functions which we might not be able to, or which will be really hard for us to deal with if we just had to work with basic Python operators. Okay, so how do we import libraries? So we write import. This import is a keyword. Okay, you have to write this, and then you write math. Okay, now when we run this, okay, it is connecting, it will take a bit time. So when we run this, the library math will now be available for us to use. Okay, got it? So now once this is imported, okay, now we can use this library. If we would not have imported this, the functions we cannot have used. Okay, so suppose what I do is here, before importing this library, right now since I have imported it, it might work. Or let's see this. Okay, suppose I want to find cosine of something, so I say cos of 100. Let's see. So I run this, and I'm getting an error that cos is not defined. Okay, so why it is not defined? Because we imported math library here and we are trying to find cos here. Okay, so the functions from the math library is not available, okay, right now. So let's delete this. And now what we can do is, once we imported the math library, what we'll do is, we'll say I have to find cos, suppose cos of something. So I'll say math dot cos, and then we can give any number, and let's store that in some variable a equals to. And why math dot cos? Because we have to specify we want cos. Okay, but from where? I want it from our math library. I want to use this function cos from our math library, so I say math dot cos. Okay, and then let's try running this. Print a. We'll run this, and yes, I'm getting the output. Okay, so I'm getting what is the value of cos 100, right? So this is one thing. Now there might be some cases where you just want to import one particular function, okay, or one particular set of function from the whole library. So see, in real life we have seen that whenever we go to library, we just don't take all the books from the library and bring it to our home, right? We just take one book, we borrow one book for few time. Okay, we work with that book, we want to read it, we want to prepare notes and do whatever. We can bring it our home, study it, and then we can return it, right? So it's not necessarily for you to go to the library and bring all the books from the library to your home, correct? So in that way we can also use some specific functions from our library. So what I will say is, I'll write from math. So from I will write from our library, I need some specific function. So I'll say from math, you go to library, so from library bring this book. What else? What will I say? Import some. Is anyone saying something? Okay, so we'll say import. Suppose we want to import the square root function. Okay, so I'll say import sqrt. Okay, this is a function which we can use in our math library, from our math library. So now I will say, let's create a variable sqrt of 4, let's say. Okay, and then I'll run. Okay, I have to print it also. print a, run it, I'm getting 2. Now see, now I don't need to specify math dot square root. Okay, I can just use square root. Why? Because we are only importing square root, so we are not importing the whole library. So our code doesn't need to search every function within our library. What I said, I am just importing the square root function. So that means our code knows that okay, square
Excuse
root
me, sir.
function has, yeah, please speak.
Sir, without calling math import library,
Hmm.
what happened when we directly printing the print square root of 4? What happened? Will you come?
If you directly use this function without calling it, it will throw error, of
Yes,
course,
sir.
because sqrt does not exist in real life. I mean, it does not exist in basic Python operators, right? There is no
But sir,
function as
but
square
sir,
root. Yeah.
sir, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and modulus function. That some function we can
Yeah,
go
so
directly.
that's what I'm saying. So basic operate, okay, let's say let's not import sqrt. Sqrt is a function which we can actually uh, you perform with basic Python operators. By doing this, I can say that right, this is a way of finding square root, right? So I'll say print 4 to the power of half, which is basically square root. So let's not do this. Okay, let's import cos function. Okay, because cos function does not exist in basic Python operators, right? It does not exist in normal Python, so we have to import that. And so now sqrt, and here it is working because we already imported sqrt, so it has not updated. Now I say cos of 4. Now I'll run it, and yes, I'm getting the value, right? But suppose something I did not imported, I'm trying to run that. What will happen? It will throw error because I have not imported sine, but I'm trying to use it, right? So then I have to import sine, then I can use sine, and it will give output. And in similar way, I can import a lot of things: sine, comma, cos, comma, uh, suppose tan, sub log, exp. Okay, suppose I only need these things, so I will write these things that from math library bring these functions. It's just like saying that you are going to library, bring me a physics book, a maths book, a biology book, and some comic book. Okay, so you brought it. Now you can use any of this function which you have imported. All right, but you cannot use any function outside this. Okay, and why and now notice we don't have to use math.sine or math.cos or math.log. Why? Because now I have the function ready. Okay, the function itself is ready to us to use. I don't have to find that function in the math library. Basically, when I say math.cos, I'm saying that find if there exists this function cos in the math library and then use it. If I don't specify math.cos, what will happen? It Our code won't know from where I have to find cos. Is cos an already present function which is already existing somewhere, or
Sir,
is it something? Yeah.
sir, after calling sine, cost, and log and exponential, we can use anyone. It can't be given error.
Sorry,
No?
I did not
After
understand.
calling sine,
Mm-hmm.
cost, and log, we
Mm-hmm.
can choose anyone. Like in
Yeah.
place of sine, we can choose cost, and
Yes, of course. I can
it
choose
can't be
cos.
given error.
Yeah, it won't give any error. It's not necessarily that it's not necessary that we have to use all the functions that we have imported, isn't it? So when you bring some book from your library, is it necessary that you have to read all the books at a time? No. You Whenever you need some book, you will use it, or else you will keep it. Just it is there because you will need it in future, but you don't need it right now. You want to find cost, why will you need sign, right? It's like that. Just understand with the analogy. Is everyone getting it?
Without defining this thing, you can't use like without
Yes.
defining
So,
sign, you can't use sign.
yes, exactly. So if I have not imported sine, then how can I use sine, right? So here I have not imported square root. I cannot use square root. Okay. And one more thing is, so if you want to know about what functions are available to you in your library, you can use this help function. Okay, I think it might work here, or there might be some other syntax. Let's see. Yeah, so these are the functions which is available to you in the math library. So wait a second, we went too much. Yeah, so these are the functions. What are the functions? There is a cos h, a sine h, a tan. There are a lot of things. Okay, you can see exp2, exp m1, fabs, factorial, floor, f mod, frexp, f sum, gamma, gcd, hypod. So there are tons of, like, everything which is available in our math, which we use in mathematics, and even in advanced mathematics, we can work with that using our math library. Okay, so basically these are the things. Okay, so if you want to use some particular function but you don't know how to use, so you can read it here. So suppose we talk about exp. Okay, so suppose you want to use the exponential exponent uh, function from the math library. You will read about it,
In a
what it
math
takes
library,
it.
factorial function is present or not?
Sorry.
Factorial, like,
Mm-hmm.
present or not in a math library?
Yeah, it is present,
Okay.
right? All right. So if you want to suppose you want to use some function but you don't know how will you use, so what will you do is just look at how it is used. So here it takes one argument. Okay, so one argument, whatever whatever number you want to find factorial for. Okay, and then what does it return? It returns n factorial of that number. Fabs takes one argument and returns the absolute value of the float x. Okay, got it? And it also says when this function will give error to you. Okay, so in this manner, give any name for any library and use this help function. You can get all the details about that library, what functions to use and how to use that function, how many arguments it will take, what will be the output, when will it throw error. Okay, these kind of things. Now what I was saying, now getting back to our how to use these functions, how to use these libraries. Okay, so till now what I said, that we might not need all the functions from our library, so we can import some specific functions as per our need. So I'll say from math, import sine, cos, tan, log, exp. Okay, exponent. Okay, now there might be some names. Okay, like there might be some functions which have a long name. Okay, so you don't want to always type that long name. Okay, suppose there is factorial, although factorial is not a long name. Okay, before importing factorial, let's say I try to find factorial of some number. Suppose I say I'll find a equals factorial of 5. Okay, and then I print it. All right, I run this, and since factorial does not exist, I'm getting the error. If I import factorial here, yeah, I can import the factorial, and now when I run it, I'll get the output. Now every time whenever you will use factorial, it's not necessary that you will have to write this whole factorial. So what you can do is, you will just give a temporary variable to it. How will you give? You will say from math import this whatever function name, and then you will put a keyword as f. Suppose I give f. Now instead of factorial, every time you just have to use f, and you'll run it and you'll get the same output. Okay, so you basically give a nickname to your function. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah. Yeah,
Excuse me,
Sakshi.
sir. So let's suppose we have a import a float function from there,
Okay.
and we also have a factorial. And now, how can we differentiate by using similar as factorial and for float function?
See, you can't use similar. So just like you can't give same variable name to two different variables, right? In that manner, if you are using a float, if
Yes,
you are
sir.
importing a float function, just give it another name, fl or ft something, and for factorial give f only, or for factorial you can give fasc, or for float you can give just f. Okay, so just give a different variable. It's totally depending on the user how you can use it. It's not something which python will have to deal it. Okay.
Is there any, sir, is there any special algebra for taking keywords from the expressions, or
No, no,
we
no, no.
do just randomly try it?
No, no, you can use anything. Suppose for factorial I use x, then I have to use x here, and I will run it, and I'll get the same thing. It's not any x is not related to factorial in any way, but still I can use it. It's just as variable, right? It's just that it's for it's easy for the users that okay, f factorial starts with f, and so it is very relative that it's very intuitive that f might denote the factorial, right? So that's why I used it. Or else you can use anything. You can use g, and then instead of x you have to use g here to find the factorial, right?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, as you are explaining factorial as Z, can we use any special character or any number to modify the factorial?
Modify the factorial, I didn't. Oh, you are saying this name, kind of nickname.
Yeah,
These
sir.
are called aliases. This is called alias. Okay.
Sir,
Which
I'm saying that for that nickname we can use instead of the as any special character or any number.
no, sorry, I did not got your voice was not clear. Can you repeat?
Sir, I'm saying that in place of G, can we use any special character or any number?
Special character, see it, no, you cannot use. Just like how you can't name a variable. Suppose I use at the rate. Okay, so it, see, it is getting a red underline. You cannot use special characters for giving aliases. Just like how you use variable, similarly you can't give just number. You can give some alphabet and number like a1. Okay, but you can't give 1a. Okay, this will again throw error, because just what are the what you have learned this now, how to name a variable, what are the rules to name a variable, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, those things are valid here also. Okay, so you have to take care of those things also. You can give underscores, you can give alphabets, capital or small. Okay, and you can give numbers, but number should not come in the beginning, right?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, and no other special characters can be used. Okay,
Sir, can we import all the
got it.
Okay,
functions from
sir.
Math library at once instead of importing one by
Yes,
one?
yes, you
How
can
can
just
we
use
do that?
star. If you say from math import star, that means you are importing every single function available. But in that case, you have to mention the name of the function, just like how we did. So I have to use cos, then I'll use cos. Okay, but then I'll use the capability of giving this alias to every single function, right? So
So
suppose I
how,
have
sir?
some big name which I, yeah, because I am importing every single function. So instead of writing the name of every single function to import it, I just said star. Star automatically imported every single function, but I can't say star as something, a star as some sh or something, right? This will throw error. See, you are getting a red line.
Okay, okay.
So if you
Star is
say star,
denoting
it is importing.
all the
Sorry.
functions. It is
Yes,
importing
star
all the
basically
functions.
denote. Yes, yes, importing all the functions, but then you use the this ability to give some nicknames to every single function. Okay, and yeah, suppose I imported sine, cos, tan, cot, and log, exp, factorial. I imported everything. Okay, so now I can give ev- every single function. I can give some alias as, like, I will say as a, not a, let's say s, cos as c, tan as t. Okay, cot as ct, as l, and exp as e, factorial as f. Okay, in this way we can give alias to every single function that we are using, and and importing, and then we can use it as, as it is. Okay, so for cos it is c, so I'll write c and then I'll run it. Wait a second, cannot import name cot from math unknown location. Okay, cot, there might be something else. There might be a cot, I think. A10, sorry. A10 as CT. Let's see, A10 will work or not. Yeah, A10 is there, not cot. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So for the names of the function, you have to see the document. You can use the help function for that. Okay. But I was just saying that you can give alias to every single function that you import. Okay. Is it clear?
Okay. So
Okay.
that is the main difference in importing the like we are, if we are using star, then we cannot give alias to
Yes.
different functions. But
Yes.
if we
Exactly.
importing every single function, then we can separately give alias to every single.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Slash is basically, I'm not sure what slash said, but uh, what I think is slash basically says that mm, there might be some internal keywords, how you want to change the function and use it in some other way. I'm not sure. I have to look for it. Uh, okay. Yeah. So this is how you can import these libraries. Okay.
Sir, after importing this library, we
Hmm.
can use this library inside our loops like for loop, while loop.
Yes. Yes. Definitely. You can use it anywhere in your code. Okay. Fine. So I give an example of very famous library, which is math. When you will be learning machine learning in further courses, okay, you will be using a lot of libraries like scikit-learn and matplotlib. Okay, there is a lot of libraries which we use for uh, machine learnings and different purposes. There are tons of library in Python. Python has a huge database for library. Okay, so you can discover the libraries as you go on. All right. Okay, so let's move on with week 3. Is it fine? Let's just discuss what is in week 3. Just a quick summary for revision. Okay, so as you might have known, week 3 starts with while loop. Fine. So there are two loops which we will learn. One is while loop, another one is for loop. How does it work? So this is the basic flow chart for while loop, and for loop this is the basic flow chart. So how does it work? So while loop takes some condition, okay, and it checks for the condition whether it is true or false. So basically the condition is a boolean condition. If the condition turns out to be true, it continues to run the loop. It goes inside the body, it runs whatever there is given, it again goes back to the loop and tests the condition again. Okay, if the condition turns out to be false, the loop ends. Fine. So this is the basic syntax for while loop: while, then condition, then colon, and after that whatever you want to do. Suppose you want to increment the count or do anything. Okay, the condition written beside the while keyword can be placed within round brackets, which is optional in Python. Okay, so in you can either place this in round brackets or you can just write the condition without the round brackets. Python gives a flexibility for this. Okay, clear? So this is while
Excuse
loop.
me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can you tell me basic difference of for loop and while loop, sir?
Yeah, yeah, we'll come to that. Okay, so first let's see what is for loop then. Okay, we saw while loop. There is an example given. Okay, so you might have seen this example. Now comes to for loop. Coming to for loop, see the flow chart. Looking at the flow chart, you will understand the basic difference, and if not, I'll still explain. Okay, so for how does for loop work? We enter inside the loop. We check whether this is last item in the sequence. Okay, so one thing you have to remember is for loop works over uh, a sequence. Okay, we are iterating over some iterable object like a string, like a list, like a set. Okay,
Sir,
so
what is the means of sequence, sir?
sequence is like a string. String is an example of sequence. Any iterable object, okay, over which you can iterate. Okay, so string is what? A sequence of characters, right? List is what? A sequence of elements. Okay. So
Sir, sequence is like as a range, sir.
yeah, range is one of the sequence. Okay. So not necessarily sequence. The sequence is basically this English term in our for learning programming. We use iterable object. Okay. What is iterable object? Over which we can iterate. Iterate means we can go element by element, character by character, or one by one, checking every single element inside our sequence, iterable object, and whatever we want to do with each of those elements we can do, right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes.
sequence was co-interpreted going on first to last, like
Yes.
right.
So
Okay,
see, so look at string. Okay,
one by
look at a
one.
string. Yeah, look at a string. Suppose this Python here, this Python here is a string written in double quotes. Okay, so what is it? A sequence of characters, right? What are characters? P is a character, Y is a character, T is a character, H is a character. Okay, and so on. So what is Python? What is this string Python? It is a sequence of all the characters arranged together, right? And so what, how so if it is a sequence, we can iterate over it. And if we are iterating over it, how we'll go? We cannot jump. We are checking the first element, and then we are checking the last element, then again some middle element. We cannot jump like that. So we have to go element by elements.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes.
that's a sequence iterable object. Okay, so for how does for loop work? For loop goes on checking each element of some iterable object. So what we basically look in this for loop, we see whether the current object we are looking is the last object or not. If it is the last object, then what we have to do, we just have to look at the object whatever, and we can do anything what we want and just end the loop. Okay, if it is not the last object, we can continue our loop. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so uh, okay, wait a second. uh,
So sequence is like a condition of for loop, no?
Sorry. Yeah,
So
it is like condition for the for loop. Okay, so I'll present a screen. Ah, just give me 1 minute. Okay, so can you see the screen?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
yeah, fine. Okay, so in week 3 what we are looking at? Hmm, week 3. Okay, so what we are looking at is loops. Two type of loops. One is while loop. What is while loop? Oh, so basic, what is the syntax? First syntax
While
for
and
while
then
loop is while, then some condition we give.
colon.
Yes, condition, then we'll give colon, and then whatever we want to do will come here. Okay, working. Why we are using while loop? Whatever task we want to perform. Okay, fine. This is the basic syntax for while loop. Okay, so how does it work? If condition turns out to be true, loop continues, right? If the condition turns out to be true, the loop will continue. Fine.
Yes.
If condition equals false, loop
Then loop
terminates. Yes, loop terminates. Fine. This is how while loop works. Okay. Now coming to for loop. For loop. How does for loop work? Basic syntax. Syntax is for some variable in some iterable. Okay. What is this? And then here working. Working is basically nothing, just why we are using loop. We want to do some task. We want to do some task repetitively, basically, right? So that's what working is. Okay. So this is the
Excuse
basic
me, sir.
syntax. Yeah.
Excuse me. So what is the means of where in iterable, sir? I
So
can't
where,
get it.
yeah. Where is variable. Okay. This is a variable. And iterable is what? A sequence. Iterable is basically what? Some object over which we can,
Sir, please take one example, sir.
yeah. So, okay, I'll give some example. So here
So, sir,
example,
basically, you are saying a variable can take any character in the word
yes,
iterable.
yes.
Like it can
Not
be
not
I,
not exactly iterable. Iterable is
uh, any
iterable is
word
an
that is
object.
given in the place of iterable or
Yeah,
something that can
not
be.
any sequence. Any sequence is a better word. Okay, any sequence. So
Okay.
what? So firstly, example of iterable. I'll give example of iterable. Example of iterables. Okay, you might not have learned list, but let's look here. One is string. Okay, what is string? Anything within double quotes or single quotes. Okay, any set of characters. Let's say hello. This is this is within say, double quotes. This is a string, right? Then list. List is basically nothing, but how you prepare a list. Have you prepared list for your grocery list in your home? What do? You list items one by one, right? Isn't it? Whatever item you want to buy, you list one by one. So list is basically similar to the this grocery list of our home. What we say is we will list elements one by one. So element 1, element 2, element 3. Now these elements can be anything. Anything means either this can be number, or this can be string, or anything. Okay, so this is basically elements. Just know elements right now. Okay, so iterables can be either string or list or set will also look, but right now we don't need to focus. Just know that these are some iterables, and we'll look at how it we'll look at the thing which you for right now, which you know, which is strings. Okay, we'll look at it and we'll look at some example. Set, tuple. Okay, etc. Okay, so now using for loop, suppose now example of for loop. Okay, let's say we have some variable. mm, Actually this is a string. Okay, what is this? If it is storing some string, this variable is a string, isn't it? So I say that I have hello world. Wait a second. It's better if I like write hello space world. I am Devanshu. Okay, I wrote a string. Now what I want to do, I want to count how many vowels are there in this string. Okay, what will I do? How will I use for loop? I'll say for. Now for loop does what? Goes character by, goes element by element in a sequence, isn't it? Element by element. Got it? So how will I go element by element? By what I mean by element by element is, in this case, in the case of a string, what is going what is meant by going element by element? Can anyone tell me?
So going faster.
Character by character.
Yes, exactly. Going character by character. Why? Because here what, I have a sequence of characters, right? In this string, I have a sequence of characters. This is a character. This is a character. This is a character. One by one, one by one. There are characters. So what I will say. So to work with each of these characters, what should I have? Basically, I should have a method to store this character, right? If I'm When I'm working with first character, I'll take it somewhere, I'll take it and take it and store it somewhere. I can work with it, okay? Until and unless you have the access to something, you cannot work with it, right? Suppose I want to uh, mm, I want to create some art on a paper, right? I want to create some art on a paper, but I don't have the paper. I'm not storing the paper with myself with me. Okay, the paper is in the shop. Can I create the art on it? Of course not, right? So
No.
first I must have that thing. So what I will do is, so that's why here in the basic syntax, what we say, variable. So that's why this is important. We should have a variable, temporary variable, which will store each character at a time. We'll work with that character, and the next time it will store the next character. Okay. So for, let's say, let's give some variable name, temporary variable. Let's say C. So for C in, and what is our iterable here? It is this string, correct? In A. Okay. For C in A, and what I am doing, I'm saying that if the character is vowel, I want to count it. If the character is not vowel, I won't count it, right? How will I say this? So let's say, suppose,
Excuse me, sir.
yes,
Sir, without defining C, how to use C, sir? So C is not defined in the code, sir.
we are defining it basically. If a variable is being used, that means it is defined. If a variable is being used to store something before it is used to work with it, right? So see, what I am doing here is, I'm not directly printing C, correct? I'm using it to store something first. So our loop will go character by character, one by one, and store it in C, right?
Just
It,
C
yeah.
is storing for this character by character.
Yes, yes, exactly. So what does this mean
Okay,
for
okay.
C in A? What it internally do is, it first takes the first element, store this in C, and now I can work with it. Okay, so it is defining it then and there, and then we are working with it. Okay. So when does this throw error? When we have not defined any variable, we have not said it is something or assigned any value to it, and I directly say I want to use this variable either to print it or either to work with it, either to add or subtract somewhere, then it throws error. But here what we are doing, from this sequence, I take the first character, I store it inside C, and then I come inside the loop, and whatever do I do whatever I want to. Okay, understood?
So within a single line, we are
Yes, yes,
creating the variable and then we are using it.
yes. This single line basically means, wait a second, I'll just make it clear. Okay.
Does it mean that we are having only one block? of variable, and we are just taking the characters one by one and then erasing and then taking another character.
Yes, exactly. So basically what I'm doing is I have a sequence of characters. Okay, sequence of characters. Suppose these zeros represent some characters. Okay, not zeros, let's say. It's better, let's say these are some elements. Okay, there are sequence of elements, a ton of elements. Okay, and this is our variable which is storing those. What I'm doing is I have a C. Suppose this is our memory. Okay, suppose this is our storage. What I do is I pick up this element. Okay. Hmm. I pick up this element, I move it to here. I said that assign the value to C. Okay, I basically take a copy of it and assign it to C. Okay, and now C is storing this. So when I work with C, what does that mean?
We are
I'm
working
working,
on the first
yes, I'm
element.
working on this element, right? Now after I am done with this, what will I do? After I am done with this, what will I do? I'll keep it
Go to
here.
second
Go to next
Yes.
second
step.
Remove this from
It
here.
will become
I
a
will
package
select
variable.
the second. I'll select the second element and give the value here. Okay, and then I'll work with C again. Right now, I hope this is clear. Right?
Yes,
Is it
Yes,
clear?
sir.
अच्छा C check character by character and return to A.
Yes, C takes one by one. C takes the value of the element, and then when we are inside this so suppose here C took the value of this element. Fine, took the value. Now, what after taking the value, what I did? I came inside the loop, right? I am inside the
Check a
loop,
condition.
and now I will do anything with C here. I can do anything with C. I can use it anyway. Okay, and then when I am done using it, now my work is done. So what will happen? Okay, so the code can't find anything below, so it will go again back here and ask my loop to take the next value in the sequence. Understood? So it will
Yes,
take
sir.
the next value, it will store it in C, and now again I will do that thing with C here. Okay, and then when we are done, we'll again back to the loop and ask that take the next value of the C. Okay, and at once our loop finds that there are no new next value is available, there are no new values are present, our code will just end. I mean, our loop will just end. Clear?
yes,
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Fine. Okay, so basically,
Sir, but a single character is not iterable object. Whole the string is the iterable object. So how can we use like iterate on the single character by
in the
using
on
for
the
loop?
single character you don't need to iterate, right? If you just have one character, if you just have a variable, suppose you have a variable b which is C. Okay, which is storing a string C, which is storing a character C. You don't even need to iterate, right? You will just use it. That's and done. You don't have a sequence of characters which you have to continue checking. So suppose if I want to check whether this character is a vowel or not, I can just look at it. If b not equal to so basically what I'll say is I will have a set of vowels. Okay, this is a set of vowels a, e, I, o, u. I will say if C exists in this, just give me yes. If does not, then no. Okay, but when I have a sequence of characters, okay, I don't know how many characters I know. Of course I know I have this sequence, but I am not checking. I don't have this easiness that I have to check once only, right? That's why iteration comes in play, right? I have to iterate over the things, isn't it?
yes,
Are you
Yes,
getting a
sir.
point?
yes,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
yes,
So
sir.
with single character there is no there is no chance of iteration. Since we have a sequence of character, that's why I am using iteration, right? Okay, so what I said,
So can you tell me one thing, sir?
yeah.
Sir, I am a sir to code, sir. Sir, on one code it is defined a equal to some string and for loop using
Hmm.
for character in this loop.
Hmm.
And and second loop is not defining any string, just using for loop and for I in range and defining some
Ah,
range,
ha,
sir.
ha.
Why
I will
character?
see. I'll come to that. But let's first look at this example for C in A. What I have to do if is C is a vowel. I'm not writing the whole code. I'm just writing the pseudo code. Okay. If C is a vowel, what I have to do? Count plus equal to 1, right? I'll increment the count because I'm just counting the number of vowels. Fine.
So we have to
This is,
initialize the count is equals to 0.
huh. Yes, of course, I'll initialize count equal to 0 in the beginning. Then I'll do this. Okay.
Sir, why is
Understood?
it outside the for loop? It should be can
No,
be
no, no.
inside it.
No, no, it is not outside. It's just that I'm since writing, I don't
Sir,
have that accuracy for indentation.
excuse me,
Yeah.
sir, in this code how to interpret it, identify the this is a vowel a e I o u, this is a vowel and this is a consonant. This
Okay.
code is working or not,
Okay.
sir?
Okay. I will write the actual code here. So actual code will be, I create a variable which is a string again, a e I o u. Okay. And then what I'll say is for char in a, char is some variable. Don't worry if I change C to char. Okay. For char in a, if char in wow, means I'm saying that for char in a, take one character at a time from this a string. Okay. And check whether this character exists in wow. And what is wow? Wow is basically all the vowels. Okay. If any character which is not in this wow, which is not present in this verb, is that character a vowel? Of course not. Okay.
No.
So if char in wo turns out to be true, that means our character is present in wo, means it is a vowel. And if it is not
Count
present in wo, then it is not a vowel. So if char in wo, I will say count
is
plus
equals
Sure.
to
equals 1. And of course I will initialize count here. Okay. Understood? This is the actual code, how this will work. Fine. So now in this is what? Iterable over which we will iterate, right? This is what?
variable.
Variable. Okay. Temporary variable which will take values one by one from the iterable, right? Yeah, Vicky.
So, sir, like we are initializing, like we are assigning the count a variable zero in the starting before the while loop. So we can assign count zero is equal to, and then we can write the code while condition, then count is equal to zero. Then we can put the count plus one. We can do like that.
So you are saying that count we can initialize at this place after we start the loop. Are you saying that?
Yes, 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 yes.
See,
And then we
so
can put count to plus one.
see what will happen if you put count here and not outside for loop. Every time your loop starts, so basically what is happening, loop is again starting, again starting, again starting, right? So every time your loop goes into a loop, it will come here and initialize the count to 0 again, right? Did you
Okay,
understand
so it will be
what is happening?
keep running on. Correct.
Yes,
Okay.
no, no, it will run only for the length of this. Okay. It will only run for how many characters are here, but every time
Mhm.
the loop will run. Suppose what will happen, suppose first it found h. Now suppose
Yes.
in the beginning char is h. Okay.
Yes.
Char equals to h. It comes at this place. At this place, if you put count here, okay, what will
Mm-hmm.
happen? Count becomes
Will
0.
become
And
zero.
then you check,
Yes.
is this a consonant? Is this a vowel? No, it is not. So count will not increment. Then you will come back
Okay.
here, check the next character, which is e. Now char is
Mm-hmm.
e. Okay. It again turns count to 0. Remember this. If
Okay.
char is a
Okay.
vowel,
Okay.
yes, this is a vowel, count will be incremented. Now count is equal to 1 because it got incremented. But as soon as you go back to the loop, okay, it comes here and it sees count equals to 0. So count will be again turned to 0.
It
Understood?
will never count the, yeah, yeah, it will never count the
Yes.
what the logic
Yes,
which
yes,
we want
yes.
to execute.
Yes. So it is not
Okay.
continuing the counting. It is basically dropping it. Every time it is returning count to 0, and then again it count, if it founds vowel, it increments +1, but then we are reverting back to count equals 0. Understood? Because we
Yes,
are
yes, sir.
giving the
Got your
very
point.
initializing variable inside for loop. So every time for loop starts, the count initializes to 0. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Where
and
did I
isn't it
come?
true that
Wait a second. Where did we go? Oh my god, I just deleted everything. Wait a second. Okay, no.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes. Yeah, please ask.
How do I know which loop?
Okay, we'll look at that. How we'll know how which loop to use? Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes,
excuse me, sir.
yes,
Excuse
yes.
me, sir. Please don't erase.
No,
Sir, in place of char, we can use I or not, sir.
we can use
Because char is
anything.
a temporary variable.
Yes, we can use anything. I just use char because we are going character by character. I can use I, of course. I'll say I, and still it will work. And then at this place, I have to use I. If I in vowel, count plus equal to 1. What it?
So, a question about defining the count inside of the for loop.
Hmm.
That makes it a local variable. So, can I still print outside of the for loop?
Yes, count will still be printed outside the for loop, but the thing is, you won't be able to work with that because it will be useless anyways, right? Understood?
Uh, Not exactly. I was just wondering. So, if I declare count equal to 0 inside the for,
Mm-hmm.
can I
Mm-hmm.
still use a print statement outside of the for loop and say print count, the final value of count?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, look here. I said, for suppose I have created a variable, let's say x equals hello world. I am Python. Okay. I said this, and I then say for char in x count equal to 0 if char in wo count plus equal to 1. Okay, now if I print count here, it will still work because it does not, if it is create even if it is created inside the for loop, it does not mean it becomes local variable. Okay, it is still global. It is available anywhere. Okay, it is not local. Local variable concept will come when we will be working with function. Okay.
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah, so if I run this, see the count value I'm getting is 0. Fine. Understood? So this is still global. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, loops. Okay, so yes, here's my pen. Wait a second. Yeah. So this is how for loop works. Okay, now coming to the range part. So range is also an iterable. It's just that it is fixed iterable which can only run on numbers. Okay, range is basically a function. Okay, so how we use range? Range is a function. Range function. Okay, is function which runs, basically which we can say is sequence of only digits, not digits exactly, integers. Yeah, integers is better, which is a sequence of only integers. Someone raised hand, I think. Does anyone have any doubt? Okay, so range is a function which is a sequence of integers only, and we'll come to how we use it when once we start working with it. So basically, what happens is many a times we will need to work with the indexes. So there are indexes for strings, right? The string, suppose I write a string hello, h is at 0th index, e is at first index, l is at second index. Okay, like this, third index. Okay, so these are indexes. So there are many cases where you want to work with indexes, or we might just want to work with integers in a sequence. In that case we use range. Okay, so with range we also cover the part of iterable. Okay, what happens is in this case we are going element by element, so I is taking the
Okay,
uh,
sir.
yeah, yeah.
So can we use range function in if conditional?
No, range is an iterable, so we cannot use range with if. Okay, range is a function which is specifically built to use with for loop. Okay, so we'll see how it is. Okay, so range base, so here in this for loop what is happening is I is taking the value of character. Okay, if the character is a string, it will take the string value. If the character is some number, it will take the number value. Okay, but with range what we can do is this I will take okay, I'll write the syntax. We write as for I in range something. Okay, something will be inside this parenthesis, so I will take the numbers. Okay, now I can use this number to index something in the string, in the list. Okay, some index some character. Okay, and so we are getting the value of the character also, or what we can do is we can use that number as it is. Okay, is it clear? Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes.
sir, it
Yes,
is
sir.
clear.
Okay, yeah.
Yes,
So
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
what I say, what we say for I in range. So range is specifically built to take integer values, and what should come inside parentheses. So there are there are three loop control variables. One is start, one is stop, one is step. Okay, yeah. So this is start, this is stop, this is step. And what are these? Start basically says from where you have to begin the range. If you want to begin the range, and it's basically either it can be from 0 or from 1 or from 2 or from anywhere. Okay, fine.
Yes.
Sir.
So it can start from, and it can also start from negative numbers. We'll see that how. Okay, so start basically says where to start, stop basically says where to stop, and this thing is not inclusive. Okay, so if I say start from 0 and stop at 11, that means that we'll start at 0, we'll go 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, and so on, and we'll stop at 10. We will not include 11, but I have to stop. This means stop before this. Stop before 11 means at 10, because it is taking integers. Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay, so this stop is not inclusive in the range. Okay, and step basically says what steps we have to take. Okay, suppose I want to start from 0, I want to jump one step. So what will I do? Step I will mention as 2. That means I have to jump 2 steps. Okay, so from 0 I'll directly go to 2, from 2 I'll directly go to 4, and so on. Fine. And now each of these has some not each of these, only start and step has some default value. What is the default value for start? So default value for start is 0. Okay, if you don't mention anything, you will automatically start from 0.
And is for stop length of string -1.
No, not necessarily. Stop can be anything. Length of string -1 is just
So by
one way.
default, so by default.
Not, no, it is not by default. If it is length of whatever string we have -1 when we are using string, when we are working with string. Okay, when we have to iterate only over the string, I can give any number in the stop, and by default it has no value. So stop has no value. We must mention stop. Okay, so default is 0. For step, default is 1. Okay, so one step you have to take from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, say 2 to 3. Okay, understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, and for stop, there is no default value. That's why there might be cases where you are using range like this. So you did not give start value, you do not give step value, but you still mentioned the stop value. Okay. So this is a must to mention. All right. I hope it was clear. Okay. If you have doubt, please stop me, or else I am moving on. So this is the two ways we can use for loop. Okay. Now, what is the difference between? So you understood what is for, where, in, iterable. Fine.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So now, now the thing is, what is the difference between start and stop loop? So remember one thing. What I said. We can use iterables. We have not the freedom to use conditions. Okay. That means if we don't have iterable, right? If we don't have any iterable, if we don't have any sequence over which we can iterate, we can't use for loop. If we don't have any sequence, okay, but with while loop we can work even if we don't have any sequence. I just need a condition of stopping, where to stop. Okay, or I should say till till when I have to continue. Okay, this condition, understood? So this condition, so with while loop I have this freedom to mention any single character, any single any single condition, any single condition, no matter what. But with for loop I don't have this freedom to mention any condition. I have
Sir,
I
in a
can.
while loop, it can't go character by character. You're checking only
No, no,
condition
no,
like.
no, it is not like that. It can still go character by character. It's not like this. But it's the thing is, like for in for loop we can only use some iterable to uh, this to loop, to iterate over. But with while loop I just need a stopping condition. Okay, where I have to stop. So while loop can also do the job for of the for loop. Okay, wherever we can use for loop we can definitely use while loop. Okay, there might be some cases where we might not be able to use the while loop, but wherever you can use for loop we can use the while loop. Okay, but just the thing is, if we have an iterable, if we have a sequence, for loop makes it way more easier for us to work with the sequence, to work with the loop. Okay, are you getting my point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So with while loop what we have to do, we have to take care that our loop is incrementing or not. It is not going into any infinite loops, this infinite loop trap, you can say. It is not getting into that. It is not we are properly checking the condition, stopping condition. With for
Only
loop
use
we
for condition.
Yeah, with for loop we don't have to worry about that. We'll just give the iterable, and we don't even have to worry whether we are incrementing the sequence or not. Okay, with for loop, just give an iterable, it will automatically increment one by one and iterate over whole loop. Okay, but with while loop we have to specifically mention that, okay, we have to increment, we have to keep incrementing, or else we'll be stuck at a position, at a point, and infinitely we'll keep looping at that same point, right? We have to specify, we have to take care whether our condition is being properly satisfied or not. Okay, if there is some condition which can never turn out to be false, which can never turn false, okay, our loop won't end. So we should not get into those kind of loops. Okay, so while loop is, a bit more challenging to use. I would say a bit more harder to use, but it can be used anywhere, whether while whereas for loop can be used only for iterables, but it makes it much more easier to work with iterables. Okay, got it?
Yes, sir.
So while loop is used inside a for loop or not?
We can use while loop inside a for loop. We will learn about nesting of loops. Okay, so I think the next topic is nesting of loops. Okay.
So can you take one example of while loop?
Okay, I'll take one example of while loop. So, okay, I'll give you an example of finding factorial with one with for loop, one with while loop, and we'll see that how we have to manage a lot of things with the while loop, but with the for loop it becomes much more easier. Okay, so while loop, while loop, finding factorial. Okay, so how we'll find factorial? So what we do for finding factorial, we basically have to, how we find factorial, I said find factorial of 5, that is 5 into 5 into 3 into 2 into 1, right? So what will I do? I'll say factorial a variable, let's not take factorial the whole variable, let's say fact, okay, equals 1. Then I say there is some I which is also equal to 1, while I is less than equal to some n. Now what is n? Wait a sec, I did not mention what is n. I have to mention it, right? N is the input, int of input, correct? It will take some number like 5 or 4 or 3 or 100 suppose, and it will find the factorial for us for that number. While I is less than equal to n, what we have to do? We have to do factorial equals factorial star I, and then I have to do, okay, I plus equal to 1 at the end, print.
Sir, in case of factorial, we should use fact FACT.
Oh yeah, I have used fact. Okay, okay, so what is happening? I take a variable fact which will basically store our result. Okay, I take a variable I which is basically telling us that we have to continue looping, okay, until and unless we reach the number itself. So we'll start at 1, we'll keep multiplying the value of I, which is keep incrementing, and as soon as it reaches 5, or any input whatever we give, suppose our input is 5 only, it will stop the while loop, fine, because this condition will turn false, right? And what will I do? I will keep multiplying that I to the factorial. So in the beginning factorial was 1, then we took I, we multiplied it with 1, basically I, which is I, and then I checked whether suppose n was n equal to 5, suppose suppose no, so we check whether I, which is right now 1, less than n. So of course less than equal to n, so of course it is less than equal to 5. Fine, we will go on multiply. Then we increment I, so now I becomes 2. Okay, and again we'll check whether it is less than equal to 5 or not. Yes, it is. So we'll again we multiply it and store that value in factorial. Now our factorial becomes 2. Fine, and then we again increment the I, so now I becomes 3. So this will become 3. It is still less than 5. We multiply with 3, our output is 6. Now our I becomes 4. I becomes 4, and we check it whether it is less than equal to 5. Yes, it is. We multiply with it factorial, we get output. Then we say whether 4 is then we increment, so now I will become 5. Yeah, it is less than equal to 5, not less than but equal to 5. So we'll multiply 5 with the factorial, we get output 120. And now increment I, it becomes 6. Now 6 is 6 less than n? Of course not. So our loop will end and our will give the output. Okay, so what, see here, what we have to do, we have to keep maintaining the count, right? We are incrementing I. If we don't increment I, what will happen? I will be forever less than 5, because the I will be less than, I will be 1 forever, correct? And it won't be ever incremented. So multiplying 1 with factorial for infinite times. Okay, understood? So
Yes, sir.
and we have to properly mention the this condition, that okay, it should be less than equal to 5. It is, if we say, if we don't say, if we only say I less than 5, then what will happen? After I becomes 4, it won't multiply. After I becomes 5, it won't multiply to our output. But factorial of 5 is also multiplication of 5 with the others, right? So we must multiply. So we have to maintain a incrementer, a proper condition for the while loop. Understood? Coming to for loop for the same case. Okay, with for loop what happens? I will say factorial equals 1 for I in range, sub anything n. So n will be int of input. Okay, wait a second. Yeah, like I will write it like for loop. I say n equals to int of input. Okay, what I just have to say for I in range n plus 1. Why n plus 1? Can anyone tell me? And why not n?
Yes, sir. It take a
Because sir,
while.
it will n plus 1 is not inclusive, and
Yes.
n will be inclusive.
Yes, n must be inclusive to find factorial of n, right? So I'll say for I in range this factorial star equal to I. Star equal to is basically factorial equals factorial into I. Okay, that's it. So we don't have
Excuse
to.
me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, can you please again explain the n plus 1 reason?
See, when we mention stop for the range function, when we mention start and stop, there is also a step, but not like, let's not look at it right now. When we mention start, it will start from exactly this point. Suppose I mention 0 for this, it will start from here, but it won't touch the number of, suppose I mentioned here 10. Okay, so it won't go to this, take, it won't take the value 10. It will just stop before this, means it will go till 9.
9.
Okay,
And that's
so
one.
that's, and while finding factorial, what we are doing, we have to if I am finding factorial for n, what I have to do, I have to multiply n with n minus 1 with n minus 2 and so on till 1, right? So n must be included in our calculation. So that's why, so that I also takes the value of n, I also takes the value of n, I must multiply it, right? I must Sorry, I must not multiply. I'm saying I must do n plus 1, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's why I say n plus 1, because this is not inclusive. Okay, fine. So see, and now we'll just print factorial. Isn't it easy that we don't have to maintain, we have to don't check for incrementer whether it is correct or not. We don't have to check for any condition whether I have given correct condition or not. It will automatically stop at n, right? Isn't this very easy?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's why when we have a sequence, when we have to work with a sequence properly, so finding factorial is what, working with a sequence, continuous sequence of 5 4 3 2 1, correct? Or 4 3 2 1, or n into n minus 1 into n minus 2. I have a sequence, right? So when we have a sequence, using for loop makes it way easier. We don't have to consider a lot of things. Okay, understood? So that,
Sir, excuse me, sir.
yes.
Can I share my screen on GRPA related question on this concept?
Okay, fine, sure. Hmm. Yeah.
Sir, can the screen is visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Sir, in the sentence number 16, we are asked to do vectorial.
Hmm.
But where do we have print the result? Elif task, not able to understand the whole code. Can you please explain from the
See.
starting question?
Don't look at the elif right now, because uh, you have to, when your task is factorial, then you have to do factorial. If your task is not factorial, then you have to do the even number. Okay. So the code you have written for factorial is absolutely correct. It's just that your task is not factorial right now. Okay. So task is what? Task is basically some input which you will take it, which you will take some input. Okay. The task is basically saying you uh, whether you want to do factorial, giving you some task. Okay. Do factorial of this number, or do some work with even numbers. Okay. Find some even numbers, like that. Okay. So if your task is factorial, then you will find factorial. If your task is even numbers, you will find even numbers. And what is the description for even number? Just go to question, you will get to know what is the task. Yeah.
Sir,
The,
not able to understand this content expression.
don't look at that. You have to start looking from line 13. Okay.
Which line? Sorry.
Line 13.
Okay, so I don't need to read the
Yes,
lines from 1
yes.
to 12
From 1 to
questions.
12, you don't have to read. From line 13, look at that. And also must read the question. In the, see, on the left side of the page, there is overview, question, test cases, right? Go to question. Okay, read these things.
Okay.
See what the question asks. The question says, write a multifunctional program that takes input task from the standard input and does the corresponding task accordingly. Okay, is it clear?
Not much, but I'll try, or otherwise I'll ask in
basically
next class.
basically basically this task is what, it takes some input. It basically asks you to give some task to it. Okay. It asks you to give some task, and based on that task it performs. So you have to write that code so that whenever the user gives some input, some particular task, it will perform the task. So the code is present for that particular task. So if the user asks to find factorial, the code must be present so that you can calculate factorial. If the user asks to find even numbers, the code must be present to give you the even numbers, right?
Sir, I just want to ask now I have to do what here? I read the question as you said from the sentence 13.
Mhm.
Input, what is the input here?
The task which you have to perform, which
Factorial. Okay, factorial. Now what to do with the
See,
even number?
you have to write the code to find even number. See here, you read the question. Now see, what is the part one? Part one says while loop to for loop. Okay, factorial. Print factorial of a given non-negative integer. You have to do that. Okay, your input should be an integer, even numbers. Show and then see here. After input, after first input, you see there is given even numbers, right? In the question part,
Yes, sir.
what does it say? Print the even numbers from 0 including till the given input number, right? Are you understanding what the question says? Print the even numbers starting from 0 till the given input number, which is also including. So if that number is an even number, you have to print that also in multiple lines. Multiple lines means from 0, suppose I give you input as 10. Okay, first I give you the task as even numbers. Then I said, then what you have to do when your task is even numbers, to find even numbers for what?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, please ask.
Sir, I am writing the every task, but I can't understand when I'm input three. What it check? It check factorial, even number, or power sequence. What it check, sir? I can't understand.
Sorry.
When I am input three, sir, what he check?
No, 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 no,
It check
no, no. I did not got
task
you.
one
Can you repeat?
factorial. Sir, when I am input three, sir,
Uh
what
huh.
he check? If task one, task two, if task two, and if task three, what it checks, sir? Three is a check for factorial, R3 check for even number, R3 check for power sequence. What it check?
First input should be task. So you must tell what is the task. Okay. So first you have to give the input. So that's why in line 13, what you say, you take the task. First you take the task, then you will find anything for right for that, right? If you don't know what you do have you what task you have to do, then what why will you take input, right?
So we need to check the input is equal to factorial. Then we have to perform the factorial. This thing, if it is input is
No, no,
showing
no,
check
no, no.
for the.
The question says that first you have to take task, which is already, the code is already written to take task, right? Isn't it? The question is already written, the code already, the code is already written to take task, right? Task equals input, so some task will be taken. If you take task, then that task will mention what you have to do. If the task
Sir,
says
every task
factorial,
is a independent, sir. Every task is a independent.
yes, every task is independent.
Sir,
So that's
why in this use elif, sir?
why it is using elif, because if the task which you gave, the task which you gave is not factorial, then you have to go and check for even numbers, right? If the task which you gave is not even numbers, then you have to go check if the task is power sequence, right? So the user will
Acha,
give
we
some
can
input.
check every input one by one.
Not every input, the task,
Like,
task is what? Task is a variable, correct? It will have
yes,
some
sir.
input, it will have some value stored, correct? That value can be anything from factorial to even number to power sequence to sum not divisible, so to from k. Okay, it can be anything, right? The value of task can be any string among these factorial, even numbers, power sequence, right?
Yes, sir.
Right.
So can you tell me one thing, sir?
What?
That's what, sir. Based on the task input, what we have, we will check the
Mm-hmm.
condition that what it is asking us to do. If it is asking us to do the factorial, then we will
Yeah.
go for the
Yes,
factorial. If it is
yes,
not
yes,
asking, then we will
yes.
stop it. We will do nothing.
No, if it is not factorial, then we'll check if it is even numbers, right? If it is not even number,
Yeah.
then we'll check power sequence. So it will go one by one. That's why it is if elif 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 elif, right? Is this clear?
No, sir, no clear so much.
So what is not clear? Tell me.
Sir, when I'm putting input equal to 3, sir, what it check? It check factorial or even number?
That's what I'm saying. First, you have to put input as task, whatever task you have to do. Then, based on that task, you will take some input again. Okay.
Acha, when put in a input equal to task. Like what you are
Wait,
printing,
wait,
like
wait,
factorial
wait,
or
wait,
even number.
wait. I'll show. Let me present my screen. Okay, Sakshi, can you just stop presenting?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, yeah. See how the code goes. Code says task equals. Then you will do something. Fine. Elif task equals suppose after factorial what is the even numbers, right? Then you have to do something, right? Elif task equals to suppose find k. I think there was something like find k, right? So so if so first thing what you have to do is give what is the task, isn't it? When you run this, what will it ask? If you give 3, it will give nothing, right? Because you are not giving a valid input according to the question. What the input needs to be is either one of these tasks, correct, which is mentioned. If you give factorial, then it will go inside this part and do whatever I asked to do for factorial, right? Did you understood? Now, who was asking? I think Rajmani,
Yes, sir.
right? So first you need to give task. First input will be always task. Then suppose I give factorial as input. Now when factorial comes, what will you do? You will say now I will take some input, n equals to int of input. Okay, now it takes n equals to int of input. You take some input, right? Then what will happen? You will find the factorial. So let's say fact equals to 1. Let's say for I in range 1 to n plus 1. You take some range, then you say fact star equals to I, and then you print fact. Okay. Now, when you run this, you will give some task. Suppose I give factorial as task. I give factorial as task. Now, when you give factorial as task, it will say, okay, now I have to do this part. So now it will come inside and say, okay, now I can take input. Now, whatever input you can give, suppose now you give 3, you will enter and you will get factorial of 3. Understood? If while running this, suppose let's write something for even numbers. For even numbers, we'll take some input. Okay, and what you have to do for I in range 0 to this number, if so, since we want to include this number, uh, if it is an even number, and I'll mention the step to be 2, so from 0 it will go to 2 to 4, like this. Okay, I will say print I. Okay, now if the input is even number, okay, then it will uh, it, sorry.
Here it should take the input from the even number, elif task.
I did not got you what you said. Can you repeat?
Yes, sir. I am
Mm-hmm.
saying that it will enter into now it will enter into elif loop of task even number
Yes,
and
yes.
take
This
input.
this part. Elif condition it will go. So I give even. Wait, have I given extra space? It is even number. Even number. Yeah, now it will take some input. Suppose I give 3. Now it will give us all the even numbers from 0 to 3. If the input is even number, it will include it or not. If not, if it is not, then it won't. Okay. Now is it clear, Rajmani?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Sakshi, to you it is clear again?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first thing is taking input as task. Then whatever the input, then whatever the task mentioned, based on that you have to write different conditions. Okay. So if the task is factorial, you have to work on this. So you have to write the code for factorial. So code must be there. User won't bother whether the code for factorial is there or not. User just want that he'll give some task, he will give some number for that task, and and the output should be performed, right?
Okay, sir.
Right.
Basically, sir, first you can into the task, then you can put what you want.
Exactly. Then you can give the number. Fine.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in the video lectures, there was one more method given for finding out the factorial, in which it was given uh, num as a variable, as one of the variable, and uh, for the it was given under while loop, in which
Okay.
they had done factorial equals factorial multiplied by num, and
Yes.
then it was given it was like here you are incrementing I,
There it was
there it was
decrementing.
decrementing the num.
Yes. Yes. So you will
So
write it as,
I could not get that.
see what we are doing. I think you are talking about this. Let's see in this. Wait.
Factorial was given as 1, and
Mm-hmm.
initially
Oh, okay.
factorial
Factorial was
was
given.
initialized as 1, and
Okay.
then factorial um, was taken as factorial into num, while n great, yeah, you have written while num greater than 0,
Mm-hmm.
then
Oh, okay,
uh,
okay, okay, fine. Factorial was 1, right? And then it
y-
was given as factorial
uh, uh, no,
equals,
sir,
no.
sorry, if num less than 0, then sorry, yeah, while num greater than 0, factorial is equal to factorial multiplied by num, and then num is equal to num minus 1,
Yes,
and
yes.
print factorial.
Ah, so we don't need I. Yeah. So what is happening is, so what is happening here is, so basically in previous thing what we were doing, in the previous code of factorial, like here, what we are doing, wait a second, Sakshi. So what we are doing is, we start from factorial equals to 1, and I also as 1, right? We starting our range from 1, isn't it? So we
Yes,
basically say 1 times 1, then increment I, then says times 2, right? Then I is incremented again, then times 3, then I is incremented again times 4, then I is incremented again times 5. Suppose for 5 we were finding, and then once we reach the end, we give out the result, correct?
yes, sir.
But here what we are doing is, we are basically saying factorial is 1, we multiply it with num. What is num? Num is our input. Suppose it is 5, correct? Then we decrement the num, and now num becomes 4. So we multiply with 4, again decrement the num, and num becomes 3, multiply with 3, again becomes again we decrement num, so it
Yes.
becomes 2, it becomes 1, and at the end we get the same output. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, so basically here we were going in from beginning to end, here we are multiplying from end to beginning.
So we can use any either of the
Yes,
methods.
either of the methods, whichever you find suitable.
Okay. And
Okay.
same goes for loop as well. We can
Yes,
use the
yes,
range as uh,
yes,
starting
definitely.
from num, we can go till 1.
Yes, exactly. So how will we, how
And
we'll
the
do this?
step will be -1.
Yes, exactly. So what we have to do for I in range, so where we have to start? We have to start from the reverse. So we'll start from num, and where we'll go? We have to go till 1. Okay. So we have to give, so to include it, we have to give a number after 1. So in reverse order, what is after 1? 0,
Yes.
right? So 0 won't be included, but 1 will be included, and steps you have to
Hmm.
mention -1 as you said. Okay. And then we'll say factorial equals 1, and what we are doing is just multiplying it. So factorial equals I, right?
Right.
Print factorial, that's it. Run this.
Can you give input as 0?
Fine.
Okay.
Understood.
Yes, sir.
And why it is coming 1? Can anyone tell me?
It's a rule of mathematics.
No, no.
No, sir. No, sir. Factorial equal to 1, we can define it.
uh, no, I am saying according to the code why it is coming 1, because our factorial was initially 1, and as we take the num to be 0, what I am saying is from 0 go to 0 taking negative steps. Is this possible? No, we can't take negative steps and from 0 to we can go to 0, right? Because if this is a non-inclusive end, that means the number should come before 0, right? The number where we should end should be before 0 if we are going in reverse, but the starting point is 0 itself. So we can't have any number which matches our case. So we won't even do this step, our loop ends then and there, and we just get the value of factorial. Okay, understood?
Sir, when -1 is not presented, what will become, sir?
If -1 is not present, then suppose I give 0, it will still come 1,
Same.
because starting from 0, we are going again to 0. That does not make sense, right? I mean, we can't have any number if we start from 0 and go till 0 without including 0, right? But it won't work for any other input. Suppose I give 5 as input, it won't work, because we are starting from 5 and going till 0. So our end point is 0, but our steps is still positive. So we have to stop before 0, because that is the stopping point. That should not be included. And since our step is positive, so it is not possible for us to start from 5, go in positive direction and stop before 0, right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Clear? Okay. For everyone, that question which you were asking, I think Sakshi was asking, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Rajmani, is that clear? Or what doubt you have?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is clear.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Sir, I just want to ask the about the expression you use in sentence 4, the last star and equal. Can you please explain and define?
Yeah. It is nothing. Just factorial equals factorial into I. It is just a shorthand expression,
Okay,
shorthand
sir.
operator, where we remove
Oh,
this whole thing, bring the symbol operator in the in front of equals, and whatever we are trying to multiply, we write here. Shorthand operator, just like how we work factorial plus equals to 1. Okay.
okay, sir.
Right. Okay. So this was the basic thing for week 3, for and while loop. Okay. Then there will be a lot of cases for where we have to use for loop within for loop, while loop within for while loop. Okay. So that is called nested loops. But it will come as we go along. Okay. As we move along, it will come. Okay. Just know that. Uh, yeah, Sakshi.
Sir, before moving to nested loop, can I ask the doubt on formatted printing?
Yes, yes, sure. So nested
Uh,
loop is nothing. I'm just saying that how nested loop works. There are two loops. Where there is a loop within the loop. Okay, we start with the start beginning of the loop. So, okay. First you ask the doubt on the nest this formatted printing.
Sir, I just want to ask about the expression. Can I start sharing my screen?
Yes. Are you presenting?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, is it visible?
Yes.
The expression here, the teacher have used the hash bar, but
Mhm.
it is a code in itself. So can you please explain that?
Which line are you talking about?
The all threes hash expressions print num multiplication I equal num star.
Okay, okay,
Why we are
okay.
using this mode? All this basically all the code here
Okay.
present.
Have you watched the lecture?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so basically, uh, okay, so okay, can you wait for a few minutes? We'll just come to this formatted printing just
Okay,
after this.
no
Okay,
problem, sir.
okay. So what I was saying is, yeah, nested loops. So what is nested loops? So we start with a loop. So I say for I in range 10. Okay, for j in range 10. Okay, and then I say print I comma j. Let's not keep 10, let's keep 5. Okay, so mostly you will use for loop in nested thing. Okay, so what happens is you start this loop. Okay, so as the basic rule, you go inside this loop, but inside this loop you again encounter a loop. Okay, so first you will work with this loop. You will completely run this loop. Okay, and when that's done, that's working with this loop is done 100%, then again you back to the second iteration of the beginning of the loop. Did you understand? start
No,
fr-
sir.
start start from the first loop. Okay, you start the first iteration and you jump inside. Okay, so suppose instead of this thing, I just wrote print I. What will happen? I will come here, I will start this loop, go down, whatever is asked to do, print I. Okay, I will print the value of I, then again go to this loop, again come inside, print the value of I, again go to this loop, print the value of I coming inside. Okay, till I reach the end. So this is our output. Fine, this is clear.
Yes, sir.
So if
Yes.
every time you iterate once, you do whatever task is you are asked to do in that particular iteration, then you go to next iteration. Okay, but when we write a nested for loop for j in range 5, this is a nested for loop. Okay, print suppose j. Okay, so what will happen? You will do one iteration for this loop. How will you do? You will first take the initial value of I, come inside the loop. Okay, but now instead of just simple task, you have a loop itself inside the given loop, inside the bigger loop, inside the outside loop. Clear? So what you have to do? First, you have to complete the iterations for this loop. Then once all the iterations for this loop is complete, you again go back to the top. Okay, and then You take the next iteration for this bigger loop, outer loop, again come inside, but now again you have to face this loop from the beginning. Now is it clear?
Sir, can you please run the code?
Okay, I'll run this code. Yeah, so what is happening, it j what j is doing. Okay, let's do this in Python tutor.
Sir, why it is printing thrice 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2,
I'll
3, 4?
I'll show. So see what is happening. You can see this, right? See, I start follow this red arrow. I start from this first line. I go inside it. I find a loop. Now I will run this whole loop. You see, red will jump from 3 to 2, from 2 to 3, 3 to 2, 2 to 3. Okay, red will jump between 2 and 3. Why? Because it is performing the whole j loop. Let's call this j loop. Okay, red is the code is performing the whole j loop. Okay, so it is jumping between this, it is printing all the values for j that it can take, and once this loop is over,
Excuse
once
me,
this
sir.
loop is over, yeah.
Sir, first we enter in a J. This printing 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 4. Then it go again to 1 and then it print to 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4 again.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yes. So what happens is, firstly it takes the value for I. Okay? It determines some value for I. Okay, correct? Did you get this point? It goes in first line, it takes some value for I. You see, global frame I equals 0. Okay, it come inside and finds that there is another loop which we can right now we can call as j. Okay, so let's call this a j loop. Now j loop, it will take some value, but now since this is a loop, the priority of the code is performing this inside loop. Okay, so it will run this loop completely. So it will take values for j until and unless the values are still remaining. Okay, so see how values for j is changing, but I is still stagnant. Value for j is changing because we are only running j loop until it ends. And as soon as, because see, whatever task is given for the j loop, it is performing that, it is completing that, so it can go and you know once the task for j loop is complete, it can go again to continue with the iteration for the j loop. Are you getting my point? Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So, sir,
So
first iteration of a for loop, I is fixed, then it go to J and iterated in the 4 or 5
yes,
times.
yes.
Then
Why I
it go
is
again
fixed?
in a I.
Yes, once this whole task is complete, why it is fixed for I? Because what is the task inside I? See, what was the task inside j loop? The task inside j loop was print j, right? For first iteration, it print the value of j. For second iteration, it print the value of j. But what is the task inside I loop? The task inside I loop is to run the j loop. So until unless the j loop runs the it for the whole part, the j loop doesn't run from the beginning to end. The task is not complete inside I loop. Correct? Am I clear? Is it getting too much confusing?
No, sir, you are very clear, sir.
Okay. So until and unless this task is complete, we will continue running j loop. Okay. Once this j loop is completely over, then I will again back to I. Now I will take some next value, and again I enter the for loop, and now again I get the task to run the whole j loop. Correct? Understood?
So, sir, basically it will first perform the inner loop, then it will go to outer loop.
Yes. And for every value of outer loop, it will perform the whole inner loop. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes. So it will do like this. So see, it is jumping between 2 3 2 3 2 3 and again goes back to 1, then again 2 3 2 3 2 3 and again goes back to 1. 2 3 2 3 2 3, then again goes back to 1 once the inner loop is complete. Then again 2 3 2 3 2 3, then again goes back to 1. 2 3 2 3 2 3. Then since j loop is now complete, it will jump to 1, then again come back. Got it? Is it clear how nested loop works? Going?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Nested loops clear? Hello. I hope nested loops are
Can you
clear.
show?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, someone are asking something. What?
So, sir, sir, I was asking that when the inner loop is completed, so it is printing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and after that it is going for outer loop and printing 0, and then again it is printing 0, 1,
No,
2, 3, 4.
for outer loop it is not printing anything, because the task which is inside the outer loop is just to run the j loop, which is the inner loop. Clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So it is not, if I say that for I loop print the value of I, then perform the j loop, then it will print the value of the I, then print the value of j. But
Yeah, I
until
got
and
it.
unless I, yeah. Okay. So this loop is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Nested loops are clear. Now after nested loops, the topic is uh, yeah. So there are some things which are called break, continue, and pass. Okay. So what is break, continue, and pass? Let's see. So break is a statement which stops the loop. Okay, stops the loop then and there. How does it works? Let's see. Suppose I say I have to, for I in range 100. Suppose I have to run the loop in a range of 100. Okay, I'll start at 1 and go till 100. But if I takes a value which is divisible by 5, I suppose I wanted to find the first multiple of 5. Okay, suppose I wanted to find first multiple of 5 in the range 1 to 100. So it, I does not need one. As soon as I see the first multiple of 5, I don't need to see other things. The whole, I don't need to run the whole loop, right? Is it clear? So what will I do?
Yes,
I can stop the loop then and there. How will I do? I will say, if I find a number which is whose mod
Print I
5.
and break.
Sorry.
So print I and then break.
Yeah. So as soon as I see a value of I which is divisible by 5, that means that is the first value of 5, first value of I which is divisible by 5, first multiple of I 5. Then I'll say print I, and then I'll say break. Break means break the loop, end the loop, end the loop, right?
yes, sir.
Clear?
Okay,
Right.
so whole for loop is ended.
Yes, the whole for loop breaks. Whole for loop stops. Nothing will happen after this. Suppose I copy this, Control C. I'll say edit code, go here. You will see I will keep taking values. I takes 1. Okay. So yeah, so it ends. Okay, wait a
Sir,
second.
your screen is stuck.
Wait. My screen is not present. Yeah, sorry. So yes. Oh, I did not give the condition that it should be 0. Yeah, it will come here. It sees, okay, it is not divisible by 5. Sees it is not divisible by 5. It is not divisible by 5. It is not divisible by 5. Now I takes value 5. Now it is divisible by 5. Print I, and since I don't need to run the loop further, I'll just break it. It is done. Fine.
So if we have break, like we do not have that indentation gap, and we have break like uh, just below the for,
Hmm.
so it will run
It
the
will
whole
still
loop.
break.
No,
See
sir.
how.
One more backspace before break.
Hmm? One. Acha, okay. Yeah. This.
Yes, yes.
No, then it won't work. Break is outside the for loop. Okay, so break can't be outside for loop. It will throw error. Okay, break must be inside for loops. Got it?
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So it should be at two indentation gap, one for and one for if.
Not
Break.
necessarily, it depends on your needs. Suppose you just wanted to break the loop, so it will come here, check if I mod 5 equal to 0, print I if it is possible, and the third step is break, right? The third step is break. So whether I find a number which is divisible by 5 or not, I have to break. I am breaking, right? See, broke.
Okay, okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I understood the code as you said, but still don't understand the break use.
Just know that break is used to stop the loop from going on. Okay.
Sir, it will automatically stop now after reaching 99.
It will automatically stop, but suppose you want to stop in somewhere middle, then you will give the condition where you want to stop, and you will say at this point break.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. We have
Just
to break at like third multiple. So what would be the code? Third multiple of the
Yeah,
5.
you will have to maintain a count. So suppose, okay, you will print I, and you will count plus equal to 1. Okay, it will happen, and if count equal to 3, break. Understood? So what will happen? You will keep, you will continue, find the variable, find the multiple of 5. If you find a multiple of 5, what you do? You just print that multiple, okay, and you increment the count. So you find the first multiple 5, you increment the count. Now you'll see count here. Here count is 0. You'll see as soon as we encounter this, we'll see count will be, yeah, count is incremented to 5, and here the print it is printed. Okay, then it checks if the count is 3 or not. No, it is still not 3. No need to break. Continue, 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 continue. Still not 3. Continue, continue. Count is 2. Now, as soon as it reaches 15, you will
Sir,
see what
I
will
have to
happen.
only print 15. We have to only print 15, not before that.
Fine, no worries. You can, what you can do is,
Print I, yeah.
yeah, करते रहो. You can continue, 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 continue. Okay, as you encountered 5, count becomes 3. Now what will you do? Print I, printed I, and you break. Fine.
Yeah, sir.
Okay.
so just a quick question. The break, is it exclusive for the for loop or is it for any loop?
Break can be used for any loop.
Okay.
Okay, this is break. Now there is something which is called continue. Okay, suppose what you want to do is, uh, whenever you want to run a loop, but whenever you see some specific thing, you just want to skip. Okay, skip that thing. Suppose, let's write the code here. Suppose you are writing, uh, for I in range, for I in range from 1 go to 100, and whenever you see a even number, skip it. If I mod 2 equals to 0, continue, or else what will you do? You will just say print I. So what will happen?
Two multiples are skipped and then others are printed.
Two multiples are not skipped.
Even multiple are skipped.
Yes, exactly. And how it will be skipped, you'll see. What? So basically, continue does what? whatever is below continue but inside the loop, it will skip it. Okay, so so here I have given a condition, right? So I continue, I start, I check whether 1 is divided by 2 or not. No, it is not, so I print 1. I come here and my condition is satisfied, so I continue means I'll directly go to line 1. See, it came to line 2. Since right now the value of I is 2, it checks whether it is even or not. It is even, so it comes to line 3. It sees continue, that means it will skip everything which is below continue. Okay.
So this loop is printed only odd numbers, no?
Yeah, this loop will print only odd numbers. Okay.
Sir, yes, sir. That was I was saying, sir. Same
Yeah.
that two multiples are skipped and other numbers are printed in the
uh,
range.
yes, two multiples are skipped. Yes.
Yes, sir. That was
Multiple
I
of
was.
two are skipped, not two
Multiple of two.
multiples. Yeah.
Ah,
Yes.
yeah, two's multiple.
Yes, two's multiple are skipped, so in this way it will continue. Okay, so what continue does? Continue does not break the loop, but for that particular iteration, when we say that if this condition happens, or if this is the case, continue means skip the whole iteration. What is meant by skip the whole iteration? Earlier what we were doing is running the iteration, completing whole task, and then going to the next iteration. But with continue, as soon as you see continue, that means whatever is below continue but inside the for loop or inside the loop, you will skip everything. Okay. See, continue won't skip this printing if it is outside the loop. Did you got my point? If it is outside the loop, continue won't skip it, right?
Yes.
But continue will skip everything which is inside the loop and below continue once the condition is satisfied, right? Understood?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Okay. So this is
So
this all.
how do we
So mhm.
how do we know which loop that continue belongs to?
Which loop? This loop?
Yeah, you're saying if it encounters the even number, it's
Yeah.
going to skip the entire block inside of for,
Huh.
but that continue is inside of if.
No. This continue belongs to so this is inside. If is not a loop. If is a statement. If is a conditional statement,
Oh, got it.
right?
Okay. Okay.
Continue is inside a loop. Both if and continue are inside a loop. So continue. So to whichever loop continue belongs, it will skip everything below it.
Got it. Thank you.
Clear? Okay. So this was so we saw break, we saw continue, and there is a statement called pass. Pass is just do nothing. Just go on as you were. Okay, if I write pass here, nothing will happen. You see, I'll come here, I'll if so for even number, it will go inside the if. It encounters pass, but it does not bother to stop. It continues as it is. So although its name is not continue, but it is basically saying just go on whatever you are doing. Pass does nothing. So instead
So
of
why we
pass,
need a pass, sir?
so suppose we have written, we are writing a code block. We know that with even numbers I want to do something, but I have not decided what I have to do with even numbers. So I will write just pass. That in future I might write something in place of this pass, but right now I have not decided. So just let it pass. Clear? Okay.
Yes.
So break, continue, and pass. These are three statements which are
Can
basically
you please
used to.
briefly explain pass again?
Yeah, so pass is basically saying just go on as you were going on. Don't stop or don't do anything else. Just continue as you were. Okay. Although its name is not continue, but it just lets continue, lets the loop to continue. Basically, the code to continue. Okay. But continue skips an iteration once its uh, condition is met. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So pass is basically a statement that will be replaced by something in future that might be replaced. We are not sure that it will be replaced. that might be replaced with something in future, but right now I have not decided what I have to do with the even numbers in my code, so I'll just let it pass. That's the thing. Okay, I hope this is
Yes.
clear. Yeah.
Yes,
then
sir.
then comes the part of formatted printing. Okay, let's come to formatted printing. Hmm, let me present the screen again. Okay, so what will happen is, formatted printing. Okay, suppose I have created an app to calculate BMI of some person. Okay, what I want is, so I created an app which takes two inputs, height and weight, and returns out a sentence, a beautiful sentence, which will attract the people. Okay, which will make them happy. Okay, or just some good sentence. Okay, I don't want that. I don't want the output to be just the BMI number, suppose 19.9 or 20. I don't want that thing to happen. I want a beautiful sentence along with it. Okay, so what I will say is, I want a sentence like this: given your height, whatever the height the user gave, this meters, and your weight, whatever the weight user gave, kgs, your BMI is something. Okay, this is the sentence I want to give instead of just the BMI number. Okay, so what can I do using Python? How will I say is, I will say print. Suppose this height and weight. Suppose this was height and this was weight, which is input. Okay, input given by user. Okay, so height was some variable which took some input, and weight was some variable which took the input. Okay, and of course they were converted to int, but now I'm not writing that. So what I'll say, since I need this sentence, this particular sentence, what I will do, I'll say, so I have to write in string, given your height. Okay, now what I want this, so you guys know that when I print, suppose I have a variable x. When I do print x, what will be the output? Output will be the value of x, right?
10.
Yes, the value of
Yes,
x,
sir.
whatever the value of x. So now, right now I'm writing string. I want the value of h to be presented in place of height, right? So if I write h and go on, and at the end close my quote, will this h be presented as a h character or the value? It will be presented
Edge
as h
character, sir.
character, right?
So
H character, because it is inside the quotes.
it's like
Yes. So I want its value and not the character h. So what I have to do, I will say, okay, so since I want the value, so let's end this string, and then,
comma.
yeah, comma, after comma, comma is just a separator. Okay, whenever we print two
Sir, how much
things,
time remaining to complete this session, sir?
uh, just this last topic, formatted printing, and we are done. Okay, so 10 more minutes. Okay, so comma does what? Suppose I have two pair of strings, two objects, hello and world. Comma will just
Separator.
press, yeah, separate them with a space by default. Hello world, so our output will look like this: hello, then in between there is a space, and then world. Okay, so comma is doing that only, nothing else. So that's why we give a comma. Okay, here we give a comma and then write h, but not but see, there is no quotes. Okay, then again comma, because after that again I have to start writing string, correct? Then I'll start m and your weight. Again, I have to give the value of weight. So writing it within quotes won't work. I have to end the quotes and write after comma. I have to write W. Then after comma, I have to write again start string kgs. Then your see this comma is within the quotes. This comma is within the quotes. That means this comma is part of string, part of characters of string, and not the comma which is used to separate. Okay, not this, not similar to this. Okay. Okay, and your BMI is, again I have to write the value of BMI. So suppose I stored the value of BMI in some variable called B, capital B, okay, which is the value which we calculated. So I have to again give comma, write B, then comma, I have to again give here, see here there is a full stop. Okay, so we have to write a quotes, comma, my quote, then finally end it. So did you see how hectic this is? We have to every time write a string, then attach it with some variable value, then attach it with again some string, right? Even if we miss just one comma, suppose I forgot to give comma here, what will happen? It will throw error, isn't it? So it
Yes.
is really hectic. So then comes formatted printing to save us. So we say F. Before starting the string, we'll say F. This denotes we are writing in formatted printing. How we'll do? I'll just write given your height, and wherever I want to present the value of variable instead of the face value. Face value is just so h. The face value of h is what? Just h alphabet, but the value of h is the height which is given by the user, right? So in F strings, in formatted strings, wherever we want to write the value of some variable instead of its actual variable name, then what will I do is I will create a placeholder. Okay, this is a placeholder within brackets. What does this placeholder do? I will write the variable inside this placeholder, and
Place
now
placeholder inside the code.
yes, inside the quote, not outside. Placeholder inside the quote. So now uh, we don't have to worry about whether we are ending the quote, we are starting the quote or not, whether we are giving commas or not. We'll just give a placeholder. That means at this particular position, that means after height and a space, I want the value of h. So I created this curly braces and write the variable inside it. Okay, then
So here
again,
the curly braces, sir. Here the curly braces are fixed for like place holding,
yes, it is
and
a
we
holding
cannot.
place for value of that variable,
If we
whatever
want
we'll
to,
place.
if we want to like print inside the comma, we can print the curly braces. How can we print that?
Sorry,
We have
sorry,
to just
what did you say?
we
Can you repeat?
sir, we have to just print out the that curly braces.
You have to just print out the curly braces, then within curly braces give some curly braces, or sub or create some variable storing curly braces. Okay, and then within the curly braces write that variable.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, so we'll give placeholder. Okay, then mm, okay,
Excuse me,
yeah,
sir.
yeah, yeah, speak.
Sir, you give placeholder on H, but when I share my screen in a video for multiplication format printing, they give a placeholder on the expression like give your height, num.
On the expression,
Yes,
uh,
like you give the placeholder on H, they give a placeholder on give your height or the numerical what their code was.
actually I'm not getting you what you are trying to say. Please, can you repeat again?
Can I share screen?
Okay, share.
this visible, sir?
Yes, yes, yes.
Sir, the num one, this one,
Mm-hmm.
the
That's it.
placeholder they give on.
Yeah, that's a variable. Within the placeholder, that's a variable, right?
The variable is should I na. We are
Num is
changing the
also a
value for
variable.
I.
Num is also a variable. See, num is what? Num equals int of input. You're taking an input and storing it where? In a variable, isn't it?
Okay, sir.
Any variable can be placed inside this placeholder. Fine? Clear? Yeah. So I'll just give the placeholder, then write m and your mm, weight inside placeholder. I'll kgs. Your BMI is P. Fine. And then I will close the quote. Okay. So what we gained, we just have to write start and end quote only once. We don't have to use multiple commas in order to join multiple strings and variables. We just have to use a placeholder to put the value of the variable at there and just continue writing the string as we were, right? Easy.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So then there are a lot of variations for this. So this F strings are the most useful. Okay, these are the most useful things, and these are the most latest thing. Okay, so in older days or with the C programming language, what we used to do is we used to write this modulo D, modulo S, and modulo F. What were these? These were similar. These were again placeholders. How this was used? This were used like this. Suppose I'm I'm writing like this, that suppose there is a variable x which has value 5, there is a variable z which has value 10.1. Okay, so I'm writing as value of x is, so now what I want is, after this x I want as x only, but after this I want the value of x. So I will write mod d. So this is what this says, that this is a placeholder, this holds a place for something. We'll look at what is that something. Okay, mod d and value of z is mod f. Fine.
Sir, what is D here?
I'll come to that. Value of z is mod f. Now I'll close the quotes, and what I will do, I close the quotes, and then I gave a modulus symbol. Okay, and then a parenthesis. Now what will parentheses hold? Parentheses hold the actual variable. What were the variable x and z, right? Now what will happen? So this represents a placeholder
For
for,
integer type values,
yes, integer type,
and F is
integer
for float
values.
type
Yes, and why it is written d? Because d denotes decimal, right? By decimal I don't mean this point. By decimal I mean the usual decimal numbers that we have, the real numbers. Okay, and that mostly includes integer for this, because in our Python, this dot 10.1, these are not called decimal, these are called floats. Okay, and this f is a placeholder for floating value. Okay.
So I think you have to like give one more parenthesis at the end because we are
Oh
starting.
yeah, that print statement now. Yes,
Yeah.
that is a print statement. Okay, this is a placeholder for, so there are three different placeholders. D is for, you can remember as digits, but it's actually it actually stands for decimal. Okay, decimal number. which are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. F stands for floating point value, like 10.1, like 100.22. Okay, these things. Then mod S stands for string value. If you have to store some string value, if you have to give a placeholder for string value, you will write mod S. Okay, so you write everything within quotes. Okay, and wherever you want to hold place for something, you just give a placeholder. Okay, and then after you end the string, you write a joining symbol. Okay, you kind of write a joining symbol, which is again a mod. This mod says that we are joining. We are joining with what? So what
The
we are
values of
joining? Yes, exactly, the values. At this position, what will come? The value of this variable. At this position, what will come? The value of this variable. And how that is decided? By the sequence. If the sequence says x, the first placeholder should have the value of x, the second placeholder should have value of z, that will be given to it. If there was a third placeholder which was between this, okay, between mod d and mod f, then we would have given some variable between this to denote, to give the value
like
at this
character,
position.
characters are.
Yes. Okay, so this is you don't need to focus on this very much. If you don't understand, it's okay. Just know that these things also work for formatted printing. Okay, because mostly in your Python journey you will need f strings. Okay, and you will use, because it is much more easier, right? So
Yes.
this was modulo formatting operations. Okay, modulo operator formatting. Yeah, modulo operator formatting. Why? Because modulo operator is used for placeholding and for joining with a tuple, which basically says which value should go at which position. At first position this value will come, at second position this value will come. Correct? Fine. Then comes a function. Yeah. Then the third thing is, there is a function which is also used for formatted printing, which is format function, or format method, you can say. How it is used? Suppose I am using this same example. Suppose I say I am writing value of x is, and value of z is. Okay, I end the code and then I write dot format. And what is dot format? I will give the values according to the position. So at first position, this I want the value of x, so I give the value of x. At second position, I want the value of z, so I give the z. Okay.
Oh, so it is a different way of writing
Yes, it
all
is a
this.
different way of writing. And with this we get a kind of flexibility, that even if we don't match the position here. Okay, suppose I write like this, dot format, then within parentheses I write z and x, but I want that z should come here only and x should come here only, so I am not matching the position, right? So if I don't match the position, what I can do is I can write the position of those variables where they should come. Okay, so at which index is this z? If you look at it like a tuple, okay, at which index is z? It is
Zero.
at 0th index. This is at first index. So I will write,
Yeah.
so where should the 0th index should go? At this position I'll write 0 here. Where should the first index should go? Should go here.
X.
I will write 1 here. Make sense?
Yes.
Fine.
Yes, sir.
So so with modulo operator, we don't had that flexibility of changing the what is said, changing the position of this x and z
Changing the
variables, and
positions of X
and
and
yeah, and still getting it at the adequate place where we need it. But with this formatted printing, with this format method, I am getting this flexibility of, even if I change the position, interchange the position, just with the index of it, wherever that index is belonging, I can mention the index where I want, Okay, I can mention the index of that variable where I need it, and it will work. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sakshi, you added the doubt. Is it clear? The three kinds of this formatted printing.
Are all three for Python, or is the middle one only for C?
No, the middle one is also available for Python. It was borrowed from C basically. Okay, all right.
C is kind of different. We use percentage %d and then comma. Here in Python, we are like merging
Yeah,
C.
yeah. I mean, it is not exact the same syntax which we use there. It is kind of borrowed. So it has borrowed and used it on your own
Taken
in
an idea
its
like
own way. Yeah, a kind of idea. But then after some time, this f string was developed. So we no longer need this. Although it still exists, we can use it. But since f strings are way more better than this.
Yeah, F string seems very intuitive. Is it necessary to know all three? The other two are very confusing.
Yes, other two are very confusing. So just I told you for information, for the sake of completeness, and that's why we teach this in this course. But it is not necessary. You will never. I don't think anyone uses these two things in their life.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you are just using Python, I don't think you will ever need it. Just it's good to know that these things also exist, and if suppose somewhere you may need it, but not necessarily. F string seems very intuitive and it is very easy. Just know how to write F strings, and that you're good to go. Okay,
Okay.
is it fine?
So these are all methods for formatting printing. Formatted
Sorry,
print.
sorry. Can you repeat?
These are all the methods for formatting printing.
Yes,
Are there
these.
any more methods?
No, there are no more methods. Okay, these are only methods for formatted printing. Okay, now we can add many folds to this. How? So suppose we are writing a float variable. Suppose I have a value of pi which is 22 by 7. Okay, that should turn out to be 3.14 or something like that, right?
3.14
Yes, something we
to
should have. So there is a long chain. So pi is like, uh, never ending thing, a never ending floating value, correct? So
yeah.
what I can do is I can format this. How? I will say print. I will write f string value of pi is. Now suppose at this place what I want is only two decimal places after the floating point. So I will write pi colon dot 2f, which means this basically means after dot I need two floating points. Okay,
Sir,
and
please say it again. The dot and 2f, please explain.
I said pi colon dot 2f. And what does that mean? This means after the decimal point, I need two floating points, two floating numbers. Okay. And
Okay, sir.
where I need these two floating numbers after decimal point? In the pi. And what is the value of pi? Here it is. Correct? So you can make it 3, you can make it 4, depending on how many decimal points you need. So this is kind of formatting which you can do with floating points. This similar kind of formatting you can do in this modulo operator and formatted printing also, but let's not look at it right now. Okay, you just need to know.
What, sir, what will happen if we do not specify the floating values? How much for floating numbers we have to take?
So
So it
so there is some default values. So like for floating this f strings, I think the default values are 6 digits. No, for f strings the default values are much longer. For this modulo operator, for this
we have
modulo
to close
operator,
the parenthesis also. No? We have to close the parenthesis also.
yeah, you have to close the parentheses also. This for printing, yes. So so for floating point there are it takes by default it takes some number of digits. Okay, but if we mention I need two digits after decimal point, I need 10 digits after decimal point, it will print accordingly. Okay. Got it?
Okay, yes.
The
Yeah.
sir, now
And
code missing, sir. Up
w-
Yeah.
yeah, code just. And one thing also you can do. Suppose you are printing something. Suppose you have a variable 5, okay, and what you want is you want to print 5, and wherever you want to print 5, you want it to have extra spaces before it, okay, at least say three spaces, okay, before it, okay. You just need it. So how will you do? You will write as f string print, this is print value of x is colon, you will say 5d. 5d is what? 5d basically says that I'm writing a decimal number, and for that I need an overall of uh, yeah, 5 spaces, overall space for 5 characters. So one character is 5 itself, and other 4 will be empty spaces. Okay, I need
Sir,
an
what will
overall.
be the use case of this?
This its use case is mostly like you might need it for indentations, okay, for indentation, a proper indentation, okay. This might be a use case. And yeah, there is an interesting thing. What you can do is, instead of this empty spaces, you can replace it with 0, okay. So an interesting use case comes up when you replace it with 0. How will you replace it with 0? You will just write it as x colon 05d, okay. So that means you have to give space for 5 characters, at least 5 characters. If the value of x was long and longer than, suppose it was 5214362312222, okay, this long, then it will print the whole thing, okay. But what you're saying is the the placeholder should have the space for at least 5 characters, at least. In at least case, so if the value is only 1 character, it will automatically add spaces, and if you mention a 0 before it, so it will add zeros before it, okay. So your output will look like, so you will give this, you will remove this parenthesis.
Sir, are there any rules that we have to put this value in this type of block and blocks are fixed? It can put any values in any block, like 5 zeros. It can put 40 and then 5. It can put 30 then 5 and
Okay,
then 0.
so no, yeah, the default value is that zeros will be placed before the actual value of x, okay. So 4 zeros will be placed, then 5 will be placed, okay.
Okay, okay.
But you can change this. How we'll change it, we'll come to that. But firstly, an interesting use case for this is when you write dates, okay. Suppose you are writing dates, and you say that uh, at every date, so the place of every date, suppose you are writing like this, okay. Yes, actually, I'm coming to your doubt. Just a second. You're writing like today's date is, and you say whatever date you will give. So suppose there are some variables which will, so there are some variables which take input as for dates, okay. So you say that suppose x is a variable which take date input. You say 2d, 2d, okay. So whenever your input will be either 1, 2, 3, 4, only single digit, automatically the output which you are trying to print will be a 01, 02, 03, 04, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that's an interesting
But
use case, and there might be a lot of, yeah.
in the case of like 12, then
Yeah,
it
in
will
case of,
also give
yeah,
0 and 2.
nah, no.
Okay, okay.
So
Oh, only
it will
12.
need 2 digits. So if two satisfy 12 satisfies the need to have two places of two space for characters, so it will automatically only print 12 without a 0. Okay.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. So that's an interesting use case. Uh, so this is the thing. Yeah. And what I said is, like in this case, what I want is five space for 5 characters at least, and I want, and so by default the zeros will be in the beginning, okay. but what I want is 0 should be at the end. What I will do is I will write it like x mod. I want zeros in the end, so I will write it like this 0 5d, and the output for this will be 5 0 0 0 0. Okay, this basically says that this basically you can remember it as it represents on which side your number should lie, your value should lie. Okay, if you're saying that it should lie on the left side, it will lie in the beginning and zeros will be at the end. If you say that it should lie at the end, your zeros will be in the beginning and value will be at the end, which is by the way the default value also. Okay, by default zeros lie in the beginning. Clear?
Yes, sir. Can we use
Yes,
this
sir.
use in DOB, date of birth?
uh, yeah, you can definitely use this. Okay, and similarly, yeah, if in place of this thing, in place of you this thing you use this, okay, 0 5d, what will happen? Zeros will be equally distributed in the beginning and end, and your actual will be in the actual value will be in the middle. Okay, clear?
Okay.
Okay, this thing can be done with a decimal value also. Suppose you have a decimal value 10.22. What you will say is, if you want to suppose print a floating value with some extra zeros in the end or in the beginning, you will write it as colon, then how many character space you need minimum. Suppose you say 8, then you will mention where do you need it, in the beginning or at the end. So I say that I need it at the end, so I'll do this. And what I need, so I need zeros. Okay, so I will say 0, then I'll give dot, then I'll give say how many decimal digits I need in our floating, so I'll say 2f. Okay, clear?
This one, sir, I can't understand. Can you please explain?
Okay, okay, wait.
So why you are writing 8?
So 8 is basically representing, okay, I'll represent show this as code. 8 is basically representing the number of basic characters. So what I was doing with 5d, 5d said what, that minimum 5 characters I need at that position, at that place I need a space of minimum 5 characters, right? 5d represented that only, na?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so 8 represents that a minimum of 8 character space I need. So I'll write here.
Sir,
Yeah.
somebody asked if we were putting five in the middle of the characters when we have five blocks. If we do that with four characters, then the four will put at each place.
Yeah, it will put it like this. So I'll show you. So I say x equals 5, suppose 5, and then I say print f, and
We can use any number instead of it.
yes, any number, x colon 4d, and 0 in the beginning, 0 4d. Okay, so it prioritize. Okay, I have to give this. So it will prioritize the number to be in the beginning rather than in end. Okay, if we have to give, if there is no exact middle. Okay, and so what I was saying for decimal numbers, suppose I have 13 point some numbers. Okay, and I say that I want minimum of 8 places. Okay, and but I just want it to round off to two decimal places. Okay, so it will look like this. See here, so 4 character space is taken by these 5 digits. Okay, these 5 characters, 13.46, and why it is 46, because it is rounding off. Okay, so 5 turn to be 6 because after 5 there is 6. Yes, Sakshi.
Sir, you have written 8 because there are 8 terms: 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 2, 9.
No. There are not 8 terms. I have written 8 to say that I need a minimum of minimum space for 8 characters at that place. Okay, at that position. That's why you see there are 1, 2, 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3, and then 5 characters. So 5 characters are taking 5 places, but I still need space for 8 characters. Just like how I was doing for, you see, x equals 5, I say print uh, x colon uh, 4d. Okay, what is happening here? I'm getting five is have extra spaces in the beginning. Why? Because what I said is I need a minimum space for 5 characters. Minimum 5 characters should be there, but our variable is not of 5 character length, right? So it adds 5. Is it clear? So sorry, it adds spaces, extra spaces in front of 5. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
the two spaces before 5 and two spaces after 5.
No. All spaces before 5 until and unless we specify that you have to put the 5 in the middle.
So this is
Okay,
three spaces, correct?
Yes, 3 spaces in the front of 5. See, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay,
And sir, if we
clear?
want three more spaces after 5, so
If you want 3 more spaces after 5, that means including 5, there are uh, seven spaces. Correct? So you
also
will
I got
mention 7
we
and you will
we will
write
put
this.
in the middle. Right.
Yeah. So now 5 is in the middle. There is 1, 2, 3 spaces in the front and 1, 2, 3 spaces in the back. Okay,
Yes,
clear?
sir.
Huh.
Yes.
So that's why
okay, sir.
before dot 2f, basically I'm saying, so in overall I need 8 character space, but I'm rounding my number off to only 2 decimal places. That means including the initial digits and decimal place, 2 characters will be there. That means 5 character space will be occupied, but I need to overall of 8 character space to be occupied. So zero empty spaces are given. Okay, I can make it zeros. I can make it zeros. So now zeros are there instead of empty spaces. Okay,
Yes, sir.
correct. I can make the zeros at the end. How will I make the zeros to go to the end? I will just say this, and now zeros will be at the end. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Similarly, I can do this, and zeros will be splitted equally at the end and the beginning. Okay. I hope that is clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So that's all for formatted printing. Okay. This is all about week 3, and since time has exceeded too much, so let's. I don't think we can do practice questions today for any coding questions. So yes, dot is also taking one place. Okay. So that's all for today's class. You can leave the class. Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so much,
Thanks a
sir.
lot. No worries. Thank
Thank
you,
you, sir.
Vivek. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. All right. I hope everyone understood everything. Thanks a
Yes.
lot for joining the session. I'm ending the session. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Naman.
Good night, sir.
Good night. Good night, everyone. Okay. So you can leave. Okay.